C-Red Nation, Breeze Nation, what is good? Question on the table today. What does real success look like for this Chicago Bulls team in the upcoming season? We'll talk about that on today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Let's go. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page, man. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. So the Bulls have made some interesting moves during the offseason, right? There's a lot of people who have looked at what the Chicago Bulls have done this offseason, and we keep kind of hearing the same thing around Bulls Nation, right? This is a good signing, but what does it really do for you? This is a good move, but what does it really do for you? And I think the question that is being posed on this video is one that a lot of Bulls fans have a lot of different answers on. But for me, I want to give you guys kind of what I would think that AK would hope the success looks like in the upcoming 2023-2024 season. I think it starts with this, right? Getting back into a real playoff spot that is not a real play-in spot. I believe that's why they went out and they go get Jevon Carter, because with a real point guard in there, the Chicago Bulls have a 61% win percentage. That's pretty good. And I'm talking about between Patrick Beverley and Lonzo Ball. Those are the two times that we talk about the Bulls having real point guard play. They have a 61% win percentage. And I believe that AK believes that this team can get to a certain point, that 4 to 6 range. And when you look at, okay, once we're there, then we kind of can make that move into the luxury tax. I said, me and Hayes were talking about this earlier, right? Don't be surprised if the Bulls carry this disabled player exception into the season to kind of try and see where the team is and see if we should make a trade for another player using that disabled player exception, that $10.1 million. Don't be surprised if we see that, because that is that range where AK was talking about during the offseason, where they're more willing to use the luxury tax. So I think that success, right, is at least at the halfway point in the season, being in that 4 to 6 range, hopefully closer to the 4 range. And that is not to say you have championship aspirations yet. That's saying that you're moving in the right direction. That's saying that your team is moving in the right direction. I think that's what AK is really hoping for with this current team. That's why you see a lot of the you see a lot of the simpler moves, the smaller moves, the moves that just are, okay, this move kind of makes sense. But I think what success at the end of the day is going to mean for this team has nothing to do with this current team that is being built right now. Here's the biggest thing for me with this Bulls team. When you talk about success, we have some nice players on this team. I know Bulls fans don't like it, but we do. We have some nice players. DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, Zach LaVine. These are nice players. Are they championship level players? Absolutely not. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're championship level players. What I will say is they're players that, if they go back to what happened in that first 35 with Lonzo, that last little bit with Pat Bev, and Jevon Carter can bring that type of energy, right? He is a dog kind of player. He is a dog on defense, dog. And he's somebody that's going to get after it. I think the assists will improve with him starting more. But if you have that same effect, right, you're competing at the top of the Eastern Conference now. You're in that 4. You're hoping to be in that 4 range, I think, is what AK is really shooting for here. Because you were first in the Eastern Conference when you had the point guard play before. But at the end of the day, all of this could happen, and I would still sit here and tell you, I don't know if the Chicago Bulls team will win a championship. I don't believe that this iteration of the team is going to win a championship. So what's it all for? There are a lot of Bulls fans that say blow it up for that reason. If you don't believe that it's going to win a championship, what is all this for? Here's the thing that you have to start doing before you get to the championship level, and I think it's the biggest problem with the Bulls. Here's their last 3 picks. You got Dalen Terry, Ayo Dosunmu, Patrick Williams. I'll give you their last 5 picks. Marko Simonovic, Kobe White. I went back to Kobe White. Kobe White is not an AK pick, right? But I went back to Kobe White because Kobe White's still on the team. The number one thing the Chicago Bulls need to see in 2023-2024 that I think finishes this season as a successful season, as a season that has you feeling better, is the development of one of the names on that list. You have guys on this list who literally, Patrick Williams has the fewest shot of any number 4 overall pick ever his rookie season. Dalen Terry played the fewest minutes of any number 18 overall pick in NBA history. Those are not things that you want attributed to your team. And now you add in, of course, this year, Julian Phillips, who seems like he's showing out a little bit already with the defensive prowess in practice. I really want to see what he's going to be as a defender. I think he really is going to be that DJJ replacement, which is why I think we had that like, yeah, you know, DJJ, we're going to bring somebody else in. If you want to move on, you kind of can. I swear I feel like that was the kind of deal that ended up being mentioned when all of this goes down. But you have to talk about development of one of those names, right, when you're going into this next season, because at the end of the day, you have, to me, a bunch of nice players, but you don't have that superstar player that wins a championship. You don't have your Nikola Jokic, right? And I think that that's what AK is really trying to do here, replicate what we saw with that Denver team. When you look at that Denver team, right, everybody always talks about the end result. Oh, they find Jamal Murray. Oh, they find Michael Carter-Williams. Remember, those were two guys that people were legitimately ready to move off of because of the injury concerns. Patience, my friends, patience. I'm not sitting here telling you that it's all going to be sunshine and roses on the other side, but you do have to stick with your team at some point. Just blowing it up and restarting every 2 years is not what successful franchises do. And so when I look at this situation, I see success as one of these names in the 2023-2024 season taking a legitimate step. And I'm not talking about, right, all of a sudden being a superstar, but seeing them start to be a piece that can be on this team. I do think that you're still going to have to build through the draft. I do think you're going to have to find that next level player through the draft, right? I don't know if Julian Phillips is going to be that guy if he can find his shot again. I don't know if Adama Sanago is going to be that guy if he ends up making the team and different things like that. I don't know if those are going to be the cases there, but if you can find Kobe White to go from being a 12 point per game guy to a, hey, consistently we're getting 15 out of you, that's a step in the right direction. You feel good about that $33 million contract all of a sudden, and you're fine paying the extra $7 million in incentives. If you get Patrick Williams to a 15 point per game player, if you can get Dalen Terry to be able to be on the court, right? Like, those are the things that I think gets the Bulls team stepping in the right direction. And it's the reason why, right, when you sit there and look at kind of how Denver did it, you had to find those ancillary pieces. Denver found them, right? You end up, the thing at the end of the day that we'll always talk about with that Denver team is going to be Nikola Jokic because of how amazing of a player he is. But the parts that you don't think about, right, is how much of a contribution the rest of that team was. Jamal Murray, of course, he's a given. Jamal Murray's a given to me, that he came out, he played with a dog mentality. He dominated in the playoffs. You'd love to see that. But how Michael Porter Jr. stepped up his game defensively in those first couple of series. Now, that finals, it wasn't pretty. Those first couple of series, he really got himself together defensively. He became that third guy that could knock down shots. You're talking about another guy in Aaron Gordon, who was a defensive monster on that side of the floor. And on the other side, right, going down there, playing strong down low, being an option for Jokic to throw it to. You're talking about Brown, I should say. You're talking about both Browns, Bruce Brown and is it Ryan Brown? The white Brown. Y'all know who I'm talking about. That's crazy to say. Don't worry about that. But I think that that's what this Bulls team is really trying to achieve. And you just have to start. It's not about finding those guys. It's about developing those guys. The one thing that you can say about Denver that you can't say about many teams in this NBA, and a reason why they won that NBA championship, Jamal Murray developed. Michael Porter Jr. developed. Ryan, is it Ryan? I don't think his name is Ryan. I got to figure this out. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Brown developed, right? These are names that are a part of the organization that are developing into being that next level of player. They're developing into being put in that position and being okay in that position. And then, yeah, you got to find those other pieces. But in 2023, 2024, if the success for me, and I think the biggest success for AK is finally finally starting to see some of these draft picks develop, because when I mean, honestly, when you look at it, Marko Simonovic doesn't touch the floor. Patrick Williams is okay. He's nice defensively. Offensively, he shows up every now and then. It's nothing crazy. Ayo Dosunmu looked like he was going to be something, but it seems like the Bulls are going to be moving on from him. Dalen Terry can't get minutes on the floor. It's not a very good draft profile right now for AK, the guy who was brought over here that selected pretty much that entire team and drafted really well over in Denver. It just hasn't been that here in Chicago. And then on top of that, right, you pair in the fact where Bulls fans get upset the most is you traded away draft capital for Vooch, who, okay, he hasn't been a dominant two-way center. I think that he's been a pretty good third option for the Chicago Bulls at 17 and 11. You need your first two options to get the job done. Hopefully the point guard play does that. But to me, success for this team is not a championship in 2023, 2024. And I also believe that, here's the thing. When you get the championship level, like the Milwaukee Bucks, I disagree with Giannis. I understand what Giannis was saying, but I disagree with Giannis in the sense of, if you have championship aspirations at the beginning of the season and you don't reach those, yes, you failed to reach your goal. Does that mean that you're a failure in life? Does that mean that everything you did this season was a failure? No, but your goal was this. You failed to reach your goal. Chicago Bulls aren't there yet. They're just not. We maybe, if we make all the right moves, we're maybe 3-4 years away from being there. That doesn't mean you don't come out and try to compete. That doesn't mean you don't come out and try to win as many basketball games as possible. And the mindset of, well, what are we out here doing if we're not going to win a championship at the end of the day, is the dumbest thing in the world to me, because there's only one champion. It's really hard to do. Usually the best player in the NBA is the guy that ends up winning that. Your goal as a GM is to find the next best player in the NBA. Name me a team where the best player in the NBA isn't in the finals. We're talking about two. We're talking about two. Dirk, Detroit. That's it. Outside of that, the names we're talking about: Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Stephen Curry, superstar players that are the best at what they do. You're talking about the top five. And so the goal for AK in all of this, and the goal I think every team should have, and I hate that tanking is a thing now. It's the dumbest thing in the world to me. Oh, but you can go out and you can get Victor Wembanyama, and now you'll be right back in it. How many games are the Spurs winning this year? If the Spurs come, if Wemby is amazing and he proves to be literally the best player in the NBA, and you're talking about him like we're talking about Jokic, then it makes sense. Right? Like, then, oh my God, you got Wemby and everything, but you still have Pop in place. You still have so many things in place that have been there in championship situations. You still have the experience of that organization. It's just not the case here. I wish it was. It's just not the case here. And so for me, you're trying to you're trying to build to get to the point where your organization is like the Spurs, not even just the championship, but the professionalism and the mentality. And we haven't been that. We were the laughing stock of the NBA. As quoted by GMs around the NBA, the laughing stock of the league. And so I'm looking at each season as, did we get better? Guess what? Last year was a step back. I've talked about this many times. The biggest mistake AK made last season was you really believe Lonzo Ball was coming back. He went into this offseason not believing that, goes out, gets a point guard, shoots above 40% for the three-point line, is a dog defensively. I might need to do a reaction video on him. I don't think people really understand that. Is a dog defensively. You had Torrey Craig. Torrey Craig's a nice rotation piece. I'm not losing my mind over Torrey Craig. And you're hoping to replicate what you saw early on in the Bulls run. And to me, that is a step in the right direction. If we come out of 2023 and we finish this thing as a 4th, 5th seed, after being the 9th seed last season, 10th seed last season, something like that. Were we 10 or 9? We were 9. We were the 9th seed. After being the 9th seed last season. Were we 10? We might have been 10. No, we were bad. and I can see development from my young pieces. I can see development from a Kobe White, development from a Patrick Williams, development like from any of them. I'm not saying they all got to develop. That would be great. But if I'm seeing that, that is a successful season. If I have an answer on what a guy is, here's the biggest thing for me. I need answers. I need answers. I needed answers last season. I need answers this season. Patrick Williams has been in the league 5 years. The best that people can tell me is, I hope that he does this. 4 years. This will be his 4th year. I hope that he does this. I think he can be this. I hope that he can. Like, that's not an answer. We don't even know if Marko Simonovic can play basketball in the NBA, apparently. Kobe White, right? Like, and so for me, that's what would make this season a success. I think for AK, that would make this season a success. I think these are the steps that you have to take to get to championship level. Everybody loves the Jordan story. They love the grind that it took for Jordan to finally become Jordan, but they don't want to go through the grind. And I remember seeing them newspapers. You can't win championships with guards. Bulls need a real big man. Michael Jordan was dominating, but you can't win championships with guards. There was a grind that it takes to get there, and I think that that's the part that we're in now. And if you stick with it, Bulls fans, we might end up seeing something really fun at the end of this thing, man. Hey, man, I do want to know how you guys feel. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. Let me know what you think success looks like for this Chicago Bulls team heading into the 2023-2024 season. I'll be down there reacting to you guys' comments. As always, it's your boy, Pat the Designer. To continue watching our Chicago Bulls content, click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. One love. Appreciate y'all, man. Peace.